Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Membrane.
Insane in the Membrane.
Welcome, one and all. It's that time again. It's another episode. It's Insane in the Membrane. Oh yeah. I'm telling you what, I'm still proud of that title. I am. I know it comes up a bit now and again, and avid listeners and our regular listeners will know I'm so proud of it. I am. What a title. Come on, man. What's not to love, eh? But before we get into it, as we all know, it's the admin. Got to do the admin. So thank you to all of our Patreons for helping us keep the lights on, helping us keep going. You know, we love doing this podcast, and just sometimes we need a bit of help just keeping it going. So if you want to become a patron, if you go to patreon.com/membrane podcast, and you can pledge us a couple of quid a month. That's it. It's only like a couple of quid a month. And it just helps us keep going. It helps us bring you one of the finest podcasts in the land. Honestly, we're not driving around in Bentleys and things like that. You know, it is literally just about keeping it going. So if you could do that for us, that'd be great. Or if you can't go to the Patreon page, what you want to do is go to our link tree. Now, link tree it's the link that's in all of our bios across all of my social media. You'll just see it there, and it will say link tree. Click on that, and that will take you to everything that we do: our websites, our live dates, our coffee, our merch. It's all right there in front of it. It's so easy to do. You just click that link, and then that will take you to the next 3 Dark Horse Live comedy nights in Tunbridge Wells. Takes you to our YouTube channel. It tells you about producer Paul and what he's doing. It takes you to our merch. You buy that merch, those lads. Our teas and our hoodies, and you've got Insane in the Membrane coffee beans through Wogan Coffee in Bristol, as well as the blog that's on my website, as well as the dates, like I say. Also, if you go to Wogan Coffee and use the promo code Membrane, that's one word, you get 10% off as well. So that's there for you. So just click on that, click on the link tree, and it's all there right in front of you. Absolute doddle. You can't go wrong with this. So do that for us. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much. So anyway, right. The guest this week is Vaun Earl Norman. Now, I'm a huge Vic and Bob fan. Love Vic and Bob. Loved them since I remember the big night out in, must have been 92, 93, around about that time, maybe 91, 92. I used to work in an old people's home in Longfield down in Kent, and I used to do the evening shift, and I'd go round and check on all the patients and stuff and make sure that they were tucked up in bed and all clean and everything was ready to go. And there was one I used to get to, by the time I got to his room, Vic and Bob, Vic Ree's Big Night Out was on. I just sit next to the bed, and we used to watch Vic and Bob together. And he goes, "What's all this about?" But he loved it. We used to sit and watch that. It was great. I used to hide from all the other nurses watching Vic and Bob. Yeah, what a time. I can't believe that's 30 years. Bloody hell, 30 years ago. Jesus Christ. Time flies, doesn't it, eh? So, but your guest this week, Vaun Earl Norman, he's a character on Vic and Bob. And I met him last year when I was doing tour support for Clinton Baptiste. And we hit it off straight away. He's such a beautiful man. Him and his mate, John O'Sullivan, who we talk about in the episode, both top-notch human beings. I'm going to get John on as well at some point. I'll drop him a line, get him on, because he's such a dude and very funny. And Vaughan was great. You know, just a beautiful soul. He's been through a lot, but we talked about all that on the episode. You know, this is what I love doing this podcast. I get to have a chat with some fascinating people, some wonderful folks, and I've made friends with people via this podcast. So, like Nancy Carter Bradley the other week. I mean, you can hear that friendship unfold on the episode. What a beautiful thing. So yeah, same with Vaughan. Vaughan's such a lovely man. And at the end of this episode, I just was like, you know what? I can't wait to see him. What a dude. So, do you know what? I'm doing it again. I'm wittering on. Let's get on with it. So coming up in a minute is Vaun Earl Norman.
A podcast from producer Paul.co.uk.
Insane in the Membrane.
There you go. Are you all right?
Well, you've caught me on a good day.
Okay.
We'll say that.
Good.
Mentally, I'm absolutely fine, but physically, I'm pretty fucked.
Yeah, because weren't you telling me because you had cancer?
I've still got cancer. I've got kidney cancer, but it's in remission.
Right. Okay.
A lot of the tumours are dead.
Right.
They're non-active, but they can't get rid of them because of where they're situated near the main arteries and stuff like that.
Oh shit.
So
yeah.
So it's difficult, to be honest with you. But
yeah. So you can still. So it's like you say, it's in remission, but you're still having to lug that around. They can't do anything about it, and that must be exhausting.
Well. What happened? Are we on? Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
What happened was in 2007, I was diagnosed. I went to hospital with kidney stones, and they did some scans whilst I was there. Looking for the stones, and then there was a sort of change of mood.
Oh shit.
Yeah, people wouldn't look me in the eyes, and I was laid in this hospital bed thinking I should be going home. I'm fine, I'm absolutely fine. All these poor people are ill. That guy's only got one kidney. That guy's got bowel cancer, and I kept going to the desk and saying, "Oh, have the results come through yet?" And they're sort of like, "Oh, yeah, we're just waiting for them." And then on the Friday morning, a consultant came with a registrar, a junior doctor, and two nurses, and said, would you mind coming to my office?
Shit.
And I thought, well, that's sort of like not good. And then he said, take a seat. He said, I know you came in with kidney stones, but during the scans we found a primary kidney cancer and secondary tumours to your lymph nodes and liver.
Oh my God.
And without treatment, we can give you about 9 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I said, I remember this to the dad. I said, oh, liver cancer, that's a shitty death, isn't it? And he went, it is, yeah. And I said, oh, right, okay, well, that's not going to happen. And the only thing else I can remember from that little meeting was the nurse. I can't even remember what she looks like, but she had these absolutely beautiful blue eyes. And all of the doctors were like shifting about, whereas this nurse just, eyeballed me all the way through it. And I'll never forget that. It didn't have to give me some strength. And I then had to obviously tell my ex-wife, who I'd only split up with 2 months previously.
Jesus.
And try and get around the head that my 3-4-year-old son I wasn't gonna see him grow up.
Oh.
And then that started a whole process of treatment and operations and radiotherapy. It took about 6 years. And that destroyed my immune system. It destroyed my core, my muscular core, because they had to basically cut me in half to get. I've got a scar from the belly button to the spine.
Oh my God.
Can you remember you asked about it in bed the other week?
Yes, I remember. I was like, what's that?
Yeah, it's me tiddle.
Yeah.
No, I said it's scar tissue. And no, anyway, seriously. And then, so I had 2 years of chemo, 2 years of radiotherapy. I lost my job because I couldn't fly due to radioactivity in my system. And
oh, shit, yeah.
It was horrible. And the only thing that kept me going basically was my son, watching him. And things just developed, really. It's sort of like, it got a bit good news after good news. And it ended up being one of the rarest cancers in the world. There's only been 42 cases worldwide.
Yeah.
So
showing off now.
Yeah. The thing was, because it's rare, there's no real treatment plan. Really?
So there's no treatment?
There's no prescribed treatment plan, like NICE or whoever decides these things.
Yeah.
You've got breast cancer, right, we'll do this treatment, that treatment. If that doesn't work, we'll go to this and we'll go to that. So me and my cancer specialist, Dr. Nick Wadd at James Cook Hospital in Middlesbrough, were sort of like scanning around for novel things to do. And we found this professor in Sutton, the Royal Marsden at Sutton, who was doing this nucleotide experimental treatment, Professor Val Lewington. And I went down there for a year and a bit.
Right. What was his name? What was his name?
Dr. Nick Wood.
Nick Wood.
Wad. Nick
right.
Wad. In Middlesbrough. He's a lovely fella. And then I went down to Sutton to try this experimental stuff, and that really worked. That sort of got rid of things, and it just slowly died. So I had one of the the problem was both my kidneys had fused when I was a fetus.
Okay.
They hadn't developed separately.
Yeah.
So they stayed fused. It's called a horseshoe kidney. You can imagine two kidneys and it's shaped like a horseshoe. And so they sort of cut half of this mega kidney out and took some bowel and, ribs, took a couple of ribs away. So
what? Just
to get, they took a rib and a half away to get at it. So I've only got I've got wonky ribs. And then due to that, all of that treatment, and I was taking this advanced AIDS treatment as a biological therapy. It's called. It's similar to chemotherapy, but they use a biological enzyme or something, and that totally destroyed my immune system. So I developed typical autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, gout. I got psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis. So all of those treatments basically is mean that I'm literally knackered now. I can't. Yeah. I pick any disease or any virus up, any bacterial infection. Yeah. And I've got fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. Is it now? I don't know what it's called now. They've actually decided it's a real thing. And it's all down to this cancer treatment. But of course, the good thing is that, I'm here.
Yeah.
And my son's 20 next month.
Oh, amazing.
So that's what, and funny enough, that's what really got me started in acting and comedy again, really.
Really? Just a new zest for life?
Yeah, it was sort of like, I had I'm older than I look.
You are a pretty man.
Yeah, thank you. Not as pretty as you. You don't look as pretty as you do in real life. You're absolutely gorgeous in real life with those beautiful blue eyes. We
did fall in love when we met each other.
We did fall in love, yeah. And then you had a girlfriend or something.
Oh, no, sorry, mate.
So I did a 27-year career in the oil and gas logistics industry, moving big things around. And I got to a position where I was flying a lot and doing a lot of international travel, and it was a good job. But unfortunately, I lost that due to the treatment of cancer. So I haven't worked really since 2012.
Wow.
And then in 2016, I started listening to Ian Lee's show, and I got this. I listened to this guy called Pat Riley on it.
Yeah.
Who rang in, and he was just the funniest thing I've ever heard. He lived with his mum, who was in a wheelchair, and run his life. And he'd do things like, he'd ring up and go, "Hello, Ian." I can't do the voice, but it's
I think I remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he did things like ribbon dancing on radio and stuff like that, or just stupid stuff. But the way he did it was just hilarious. And I thought I must get in touch with this guy. And then I heard Bob Mortimer ringing as Sporting Keith to the Ian Lee show. He didn't quite say it was Bob Mortimer, but obviously Bob's got a fairly unforgettable voice, distinctive voice. So I had I'd heard this Pat Riley, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to ring in. I'll try and think of a character. So I rang in as Clive, who lived in the same village as Sporting Keith. And Sporting Keith said Ian was asking people for videos to go on the YouTube site. And like Bob had rang in as this Spartan Keith and said, my nephew's quite fast, he can run quite fast. I'm thinking about doing a video. Would that be good for your show? I'm not very good, but it might be. And Ian had obviously clocked on. It was Bob and said, "Oh, well, yeah, you do that." And he produced this shitty video. And he, rang her 2 or 3 times. I thought, I'm going to have to ring in.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Bob and Vic and Bob fan. And I rang in as this Keith character who was like, I know that lad who rang in, he's a liar. It was like, he lives in the same village as me, and he takes his kids to school in his slippers. He's that sort of, and all that. And then I actually met Pat Riley on Twitter, and we sort of talked in character for weeks and weeks, and in the end we said, look, who are you? And it was actually John O'Sullivan.
Ah, right.
And I was me.
Yeah.
And so we sort of said we must do something together, because he was found my stuff really funny. And we did some Pat and Clive podcasts, which have there's about 3 or 4 of them. Which are just the weirdest thing I've ever done. And it ended up too much work. John was down in West Sussex, and I was up here, and we're supposed to be in cars and in churches and funeral homes. So I had to do a lot of production with all the sound effects and getting his audio up and producing that and editing. It was starting to take weeks to do one, because we really wanted to try and make it sound like we were. Yeah. And it was great fun to do, but it was just the work, Yeah. So we said, oh well, and he said, oh well, I'll come up and we'll write something. So we started doing bits and pieces, and he came up here and he loved the area, and he's actually moved up now. He's bought a place in Yarm.
Oh, I know Yarm.
So he lives about 2 or 3 mile away from me.
Oh, really?
But, yeah. So I see him every day. We try and write bits and pieces or have ideas every day.
Having been in your company that night, the pair of you are just constantly just at each other. Even when we were all sat around talking, one of you will say something about something, and then you'll come out. You'll be talking to someone else. Then you'll come back at him.
Yeah,
it's a nice dynamic.
Yeah, we're basically a married couple.
Yeah,
but without the sex.
Well,
because I like ladies. I tell that to everyone, because we're sort of like Eric and Ernie, who shared the bed, but it was never in any way intimated that they were intimate. No. So he comes over a lot. He looks after me when I'm not very well and stuff like that. So he's nice. A brilliant friend. I love him to bits.
He's a lovely lad.
He's a twat, but he is a lovely, lovely man.
But he's funny as well, though. He's always commenting.
Oh, he's hilarious. Yeah, he's just... His sense of humour comes from a very, very unique place, because he was brought up quite uniquely.
Oh, really?
In a nice way. Yeah. Yeah, he's watched a lot of telly, so he's an absolute telly buff, and he has this sort of slightly outward... left field thought processes sometimes, which don't really work in real life, but for comedy it's good. So I was, by that time I was talking to John, and as John, not Pat Riley, and then I did a couple of these Clive calls to Ian Lee, and then Ian Lee emailed me and said, oh, Bob Mortimer's been in contact with me, can he use some of your calls in a TV show? That's what he said.
Oh, amazing.
And I said, yeah, of course, no problem. And as it turned out, I then got this email from bob47.mortimer@6791gmail.com. It's not his real
I was going to say.
And I thought, this is a wind-up. It's probably John. And he said, oh, me and Jim are writing at the moment. And if we wrote something for you, would you be interested in being in our Christmas special?
Oh, what?
And
amazing.
I would.
Yeah, of course.
And he said, well, we have to audition you, so I'll send some script up, and if you could video yourself doing some of it in different ways. And so I did, and I was down there in July 2017, that was.
Yeah.
And we did the Christmas special. It was that famous one with the, I think it was the Rod Stewart one, I think.
Right.
I walk on and say, all right, lads, how are you doing? And he says, oh, who are you? I said, oh, I'm Rod Stewart, the singer. And he said, what, Rod Stewart? It looks like him, doesn't it? And of course, I'm this big fat sort of Middlesbrough lad. Yeah, and he says, I say, oh, I'm just rehearsed. I was just wondering if you got a tenner to get the bus, because I'm rehearsing at the Wembley Arena. So it's just a little cameo, really. And then I walked off, and I was never seen in that episode again, don't think. But it sort of hit a note, really, with some people.
Yeah.
Bob and Jim are brilliant at picking weird, wonderful characters for their stuff.
Yeah.
So I was another one of them in that long line of brilliant sort of see him a few times and then never see him again sort of thing.
Brilliant. It's like Hancock's Half Hour, when you look back and you see the cameos in that, like Dick Emery and all those people. You're just as important as the main event, which is fucking great.
Yeah.
What a thing to have on your CV.
It was unbelievable, and the great thing about them too is they know what they don't like, but you can pretty much do anything, really.
Yeah.
And they're so intensely rehearsed. They rehearse all day. One day, rehearse the next day, and then film, supporting shots and bits and pieces. If there's a lot of makeup and character, they'll do those and for the show. Yeah. And then at 7:30, the audience is brought in, and it's done. And it's done right through. There's none of this 3-hour recording process. It's done. I reckon most of them were done in 36, 37 minutes.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Straight.
Oh, yeah. So,
Jesus.
and it's a 26-minute show on TV. It might be more with it being BBC, 28, 29 minute. So it's pretty much done live.
My God. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you've got to be on your toes.
Yeah.
Because there's no can we do that line again?
You've got to be on it.
Because they're straight through it. Yeah. It was a massive. I had a lot of freedom to do. There's some stuff that went on screen that I'd made up, and
Yeah.
which is always pleasing, isn't it, when that happens?
Oh God, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. And then we and I end up doing another two series of that. So we end up doing another 8 shows, like 2 4s.
Fucking brilliant.
2018, 2019,
nice.
20, yeah.
What a thing to be a part of. Because like you say, I've always loved them since the Big Night Out and that.
Yeah.
Just because they were just so different to anything that was around at the time. It's just, yeah. It's just, and so...
I mean, Bob, the thing about them is they literally go sit in with whose ever house and write stuff, and if they both laugh, it goes in.
Right.
And that's it. That's all.
Great way to write.
Yeah, and they don't think, do you know what? What's current? You could have taken what they did in that last series and put it in 1987 or 1997, and there really isn't a lot that would have been lost on the audience, because they're timeless, really. It's just daftness.
It's exactly that. It's daft. There's no reasons. There's no morals. There's no kind of. It's just stupidity.
It's Jim's Dadaism, isn't it? Put on. He's a massive Dada sort of fan. I mean, he would take it further, Jim. I think. I mean, I think that partnership is brilliant, because Bob is brilliant at doing the human side of it. Yeah. And Jim is so out there, genius level, sort of creatively, that Bob sort of brings him back into focus. I don't want to sound like Bob's controlling Jim in any way, because Jim's the godhead, but it's just remarkable partnership.
Yeah, it just works. Yeah. And must have been. You must have had a moment when you, after you'd finished filming, and you take a moment to look back. You think you went into the doctors that day.
Yeah.
And they said you only went in for kidney stones, and your life changed in seconds. And then fast forward a couple of years, and you're working with Vic and Bob. You must have a moment where you go, "What the fuck?" You must.
Yeah, it was. Do you know? I mean, I've said this to other people. What happened when you've given that sort of? I don't want to hark back to it because I don't want to be like a cancer survivor, but mentally, when you face that level of demand on your positivity and that level of concentration on survival, it tends to completely change your viewpoint on ups and downs. So during treatment, I never really got really bouncy about good news because I knew there's going to be some bad news, and I didn't want to be up and down all the time. I tried to keep a steady ship. So, internally I was probably thinking, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. But I would never say, oh, well, that's it. It's finished. So ever since, I've been quite a mellow chap.
Yeah.
So in some respects, it's great because if it would have been pre-cancer, I probably just would have shit myself and not done Vic and Bob and said, oh, no, it's not fair. I can't do that. I'm not good enough for that. Whereas after that process, after that experience, I thought, well, yeah, fuck it, it'll be fun. And that's what I did. And, so you're right, in some respects, there's a bit, the further I get away from it, chronologically, the further I think, do you know, I did something pretty good there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You must find it, it must be mind-blowing, like I said, just to go from that to that. And it must have felt weird when you went in, you knew something was up when you went to the hospital. And then when they said, we found this, so I've not had anything like that before. Do you feel, what happens? How do you feel? Can you feel it? Does it like, all of a sudden you're like, actually, yeah, that does, you can feel like pain, or do you go numb, or?
I've for years I'd had chronic back pain. And I've never been this heavy. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was like 13 stone, I was like playing five-a-side 2 or 3 times a week. So I shouldn't have had chronic back pain, really. And it turns out that some of the cancerous lymph nodes were pressing on the spinal cord and causing, my adrenal gland was involved as well.
Right.
So if I ever had a shock, I used to get a massive burst of pain in my back.
Right.
And it was because the adrenal gland was pumping out this adrenaline and it wasn't actually working properly. So I was getting this like associated pain. So I never thought anything of it. I just thought, I've got a bad like slip disc, and I went private. I remember my wife saying, go just pay for some scans and a specialist to look at your spine. Because I'd get up on a morning crying with pain because it was just that bad.
Just that bad, shit.
And that was years before any, it was literally my GP saying, I think you've got kidney stones, Vaughn. You should nip to the hospital and get it checked out.
Yeah.
So there was pain associated with it. And that's the problem with cancer. It's not like, oh, that's a cancer pain.
No. It
feels
that
like, must be cancer.
Yeah.
It feels like there's something up.
Yeah.
Now, mine was systemic, obviously with the lymph nodes involved and other sort of the lymphatic system. So I was tired a bit, I was getting back pain and, general fatigue, but nothing. It was literally, they reckon I actually did have stones.
Yeah.
It was only the fact that they did an extra investigation that they found all this mass around it.
Yeah, Jesus. So it's funny, I remember when I had kidney stones for the first time, and I remember thinking I was constipated. I remember waking up in the morning, I'm like, I just feel really bad. I thought, I was like, I'm really backed up. So my wife at the time, she gave me a thing to like loosen me up. And then she said, go to the toilet, see how you feel. And then I just was like, I remember I came back in the bedroom and I was sweating. And I just went, I don't know what's going on. I don't feel right. And so she bundled me in the car and we went off and we got to the hospital. And then where I was in so much pain, I was in the hospital on the bed, and I ended up like all cramping up, and I'm all, and then I'm on the bed and I'm like, oh my God, I was panicking. And then I'm sort of in this weird state of all bent up and buckled. And then I heard the doctor say, we need to give him he actually said this, we need to give him an anti-spastic injection. And even in that moment, I said to her, did he say spastic? And she went, yeah. And she went, don't you dare. And I was like, I still went, even though it's a terrible thing, I was still laughing.
I know. You have to, though.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the comedian brain, though, isn't it? You just think that like that.
Yeah. And I know.
I remember we were in one of those quiet rooms that you see on these dramas, where they put relatives, where the dad's dying or mum's dying or whatever. I mean, I've been in one when my mum died, but I was in there because they said, look, take some time, because I'd already discharged, but they said, look, you don't need to be driving now because you've had a shock and what have you. And my ex-wife came in. She was my ex-partner, I should say. It was common law, really, but we were together 17 years. And two of my dearest friends came, and they were all crying and, oh God, I can't believe it. And it got to that awkward pause where they've said all they wanted to say, and then sort of sat there, and I went, put your hand up if you got terminal cancer. And it just sort of broke the ice, really. Yeah. But then, like, my ex-wife said, Vaughn, you shouldn't be saying that,
It's just like you say, it's the comedian in you.
It's just that when you see an audience, when there's an audience of whatever it is, you know what I mean? You have to sort of think of what's the most funniest thing I could say now, or what's the most inappropriate.
And how did it feel when you must have gone through so many emotions when they said, look, you're going to need treatment, or you've only got 9 months to live.
Yeah.
That must have been... I can't imagine what that must have been like. We had a guest on recently, Nancy Carter Bradley, and was talking to her, and I can't imagine what that must be like.
Well, I think you do one or two things, and I genuinely believe this, and maybe there'll be people out there say it's rubbish or whatever, but I think there's a lot of luck involved with survival, but I think there's a lot to do with how you initially look at it. How you look at it as a challenge. Yeah. And I had a massive motivation in the fact that I had a 3 or 4-year-old son. He was 4. And I was determined to see him grow up. And so what I did is I just set my sights on that.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, the first operation was a real risky operation. I lost... I think they said I lost 5 litres of blood during the operation. God. It was a huge amount of, obviously, because I'm literally opened up. I mean, for viewers viewers with a timid nature, switch off now, but they take your internal organs out and put it on a little table at the side to get to your kidneys, and then they put them all back in. And it's a massive operation. And... but I skipped down the corridor to the operating theatre.
Because you were just happy to be getting it done.
Because I knew it was the one big thing that could help me overcome it and help me see my son grow up, the target, the goal. Yeah. And that that was it. And I had times when I just wished I could just, like when you compare it, people say, I mean, when I was ill and having treatment, and people saying, I feel dreadful today, I've got a really bad cold, and they say, sorry, I shouldn't say that with you, the thing you're going through. And I said, well, no, because in relative to what your normal life is, a cold and a flu is fucking a nightmare. Yeah. Stops you working, stops you going out, it's horrible. I said, it's the same level of disruption as me, just that mine's, the outcome might be worse. So when you say about the kidney stones and that pain level, where you literally can't move. And I've been laid in bed with, you know, in that much similar sort of pain levels to you, where the bottle of morphine has been on my bedside cabinet, and I've been in that much pain, I literally can't move to take a sip of the morphine, you know, with the post-operative and all of the treatments and what have you. It was horrendous. But I always said, right, I'm doing it for my relationship with my son.
Yeah.
You know?
What a beautiful thing.
Even like the biological therapy, which is an AIDS, it was a self-injected pen in my stomach. So I used to do that once a week. I took it on a, say, Tuesday. Then I'd have the worst flu symptoms you could ever think of for 4 days. And then it would get slightly better. But by the time you felt okay, you knew the next day you were having to do it again.
Fuck.
So the motivation to stick it in, knowing it's going to do a lot of damage to you.
Yeah.
I was on that for 18 months.
My God.
So I had a break, like I did 9 months of break and then another 9 months. And so you can imagine the level of motivation you need. And you can also imagine, quite happily, not happily, but I can quite happily imagine people saying, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Just sort of halfway through and go, can't do this anymore.
Can't do that anymore. And, you know, and sometimes you're lucky and, you know, like me, I did it. I took everything that could give me.
Yeah.
And I was lucky it was a rare disease. And, you know, I was lucky that it wasn't, even though it was a primary tumour, it wasn't the normal type of kidney cancer, which, you know, the survival rates are quite low. My cancer survival rate was quite low, but most of the people who got it were in the 70s.
Right.
So it skewed it. And that, you know, the poor lass that you had a podcast with, she recently passed away, didn't she?
Yeah, Tracy, yeah.
And you just think, you know, that's it. And she took it brilliantly. You know, she was amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely
amazing.
When you spoke to her and she was making plans for what would eventually happen and making plans for her kids and like, you know, human beings, we do get our heads around things and we go, right, okay, after you've gone through the initial stages of anger and sadness. Yeah. I guess you do get to a point where, right, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I set up a trust for my son, brought my ex-wife with me to a lot of these things because it involved, obviously, our son. She was fantastic.
Oh, really?
Absolutely amazing. Really supportive.
Yeah.
My elder brother was brilliant. My younger brother just said, "Oh, it's a mistake." You know, he couldn't quite grasp it. Bless him.
Oh, mate.
So anyway, so that's really coloured everything from then on, really.
Yeah. Do you ever get with your son when he was a teenager and he's been a bit difficult? Do you have any idea what I've been through? It's tidy your room.
Do you know what it was? The overriding thing was because I wasn't working. Financially, obviously, it was a nightmare. I lost my house and everything.
Oh, mate.
Because I tried to pay the mortgage I spent all my savings. You know, put a mortgage on credit cards, and in the end, you just go, I can't do this. You know. So I walked away from the house, and walked away from. You know, I lost a lot of money, and it's difficult to go back. You know, when you cripple, like, you know, when you don't know I don't know what I'm going to be like tomorrow. So the last 3 days I've been in bed because I've been that tired. I can't do anything.
Really?
I mean, literally do anything. And I've had a few weeks of that now where I've had a day or so where I felt okay, and then just back down to it.
My God.
So, you know, anyway, so the one thing that meant was my inability to work was spending so much time with my son.
Yeah.
My ex-wife had a really important government job. I won't say for several reasons, but so she relied on me which was great. So all the summer holidays, I had Henry.
Oh, nice.
You know, Easter holidays. So we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And so I was with him a lot through, and he never had terrible teenagers. Yes.
Oh, nice. Just got on with him.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a twat now. Can't take his drink. I took him out for it was my 56th birthday this month.
56?
Yeah.
Oh,
and we went for a dinner in Yarm, and he said, I'm paying for dinner. I said, all right, son. That's great. That's really kind of you. So I booked the most expensive restaurant I could find. And he said, and the waiter came over and said, would you like some wine? I said, oh, yeah, look at the wine list. I bought a bottle of, I think it was a 2012 Sancerre, which is about 56 quid or something. And he's like, you could see the colour drain. And so we had a start. And we finished that in about 20 minutes, me and him. And I said, oh, do you fancy a red wine? He went, oh, yeah. So I ordered another, I think it was about 60 quid bottle of wine. And his face by then was like white. And I said, look, mate, I know you're not going to pay for this. You know, in the end, we went Dutch, we went halves.
That's all right.
But yeah, we had a cracking time, but he was absolutely molten by the end of it, couldn't stand up.
Really?
No, so I put him to bed. I know.
My lads are like that. I think when they were younger and I'd come in, and I wasn't aggressive. I was just boisterous and pissed.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, jumping around and jumping on the bed, and it put them off for years. Like they wouldn't come out for a drink with Dad. They don't get on it. Like my youngest is studying music now, and so he's in bands and stuff. So he's doing things. Yeah, they wouldn't come out with me for years. They would, because they were like, I'm not being around that dickhead.
I know. Well, I think because obviously Henry saw me grow up ill. I mean, it sounds daft. He never actually saw me drunk because I I don't drink really that much at all.
Really?
But we were on it that night, and after dinner we were waiting for John to pick us up, obviously. So we went to the pub next door and he ordered a couple of large whiskies, and I think that's what finished him off. Bless him. But we had such a wonderful time. It was like two mates going out, you know. It was such a refreshener. And he was so refreshingly honest about his life and his girlfriend and what he's worried about and what he likes. And he told me some things that if he told me at the time that happened, I'd be like, right, you're not going out, you're not doing this, you're not going.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was nice to be able to just talk to him as a man and say, well, yeah, you did the right thing there, you know, whether he got into a scrap with someone or someone approached him, or he deals with people really well. And it's really nice to...
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely to know that your kids are sorted. Like my lads, I used to worry about them with the world the way it is, and shit, I want them to. I hope they're going to be all right. But when you actually listen to them talking, they've got more of a sense of what's going on than you have most of the time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know.
And I think with I use our profession loosely because you are a consummate professional comedian.
Both
a wonderfully talented man. Genuinely just absolutely brilliant. Wait there, let me finish. What else did you email? No, but you're such.
There's a bit about my penis being massive.
Oh yeah. And 9-inch penis. So that's the admin.
That's it. Thank you.
But, you know, you don't like your admin, do you?
I fucking hate admin.
I know. you hate admin, but you go on for about twice as long as it should take.
I know.
I hate admin. Right.
It's a half-hour monologue.
Yeah, no. I'm not vain. Can you see that? Can you see that behind me? Vaughn.
Oh yeah.
Lit up V. Yeah. Someone got me.
Like the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. But anyway, I say our profession, and loosely, because, you know, I've done about 3 live gigs in my life, but, you know, I consider myself more of a wannabe actor, wannabe comedian than a real one. But, you know, what I'm saying is when our personalities are naturally embarrassing to kids, aren't they?
Yes.
just by the nature of what we do, and then add alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry's. When I dress up as a woman as Jam, one of my characters is James Arthur's mum, Jam. You know, the singer.
Yeah.
I don't look like the woman. I don't sound like the woman. It was just a happenstance on one of the live shows we did online. We did a Facebook show called John O'Sullivan's Late Night Lockdown.
Yeah.
When during lockdown he did a show every night for about a year and a half, and we did it free. And we were getting like audiences like 2,000.
Bloody hell, that's amazing.
3,000. Yeah. And I sort of started coming on as a producer because he's like a caveman, John, bless him. So I came on, set his mic up and what have you, and then I'd sit in, and then he said, why not? And I was like, all right, I'll do a couple of shows. And then I really got into it, and then someone said something. I think I put some comedy glasses on. He said, "Oh God, you look like James Arthur's man." And I went, "You cheeky bastard," you know. And then we created this character. But so Henry seen me online dressed as a woman with a fake vagina, penises. There's dildos in my, you know. There's all sorts of props and stuff because the show is disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, the character Jam wanks off all men to death so she can steal the watches.
To death?
Yeah. We did a live show in Stockton where Jam contacted Captain Tom, the NHS.
Oh, yeah.
Racer.
Tom Moore. Is it Tom Moore?
Tom Moore,
Yeah.
Captain Tom Moore. She contacted him in the other side, at the other side, and complained that the watch he gave her wasn't worth 3,000. It was only worth 30 quid, you cheap bastard. You earned all that money on the NHS. Yeah. So, and we did a Rose West as a gardening expert.
Oh my fucking God.
Oh, it was just. So we had this, but John didn't know about it. The character John didn't know about it. And I said, "Oh, I've got this garden expert. I met her in Preston, but she knows all about gardening." And we've had and we pretended we'd had text messages in from people. So I went off stage to do the voice. And the questions were like, I've got this hydrangea that's drooping a bit in the front garden. You know, what's your advice? Should I water it? Should I prune it? And I'd say, as this other person, I'd say, well, the best thing to do is to put it in shade, but don't go near the patio. So all the way through, every question was about staying away from the patio. It's sick. It's utterly sick. But it went down really well.
Well, this is it again. It's we were all in a situation that we didn't expect to be in, and a lot of the times, like when you were sat around with everybody after your diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's that gallows humour, isn't it? It gets us through. You know, when you've. Yeah. I talked about it last night actually at a gig. I did a gig at a military hospital. People coming back from Afghanistan.
Oh wow!
And there was one fella, and he I think it was a landmine or something, but it meant he was in a wheelchair and he couldn't communicate. He communicated via this screen. To this day, I don't know how it worked because he would just smile and move his eyes, and it would work. I don't even know how. But they said you'll know when he wants to say something because his screen will flash up, which means he's talking to you. So I'm chatting away and I said something and his screen flashed up and I had a look and it said cunt.
Brilliant.
That's one of the funniest heckles I've ever had.
Yeah.
But that's how they all got. Good. That's how they all got through it. They were rinsing each other because that's
unbelievable.
That's all they had.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And it's
that sort of that level of stress, and you know, same with the police, firemen. My dad was a fireman, and you know that he never brought anything home really.
No.
But it was all done in the break room, taking the piss out of each other, basically.
Yeah. I think that's how you do it. It's how you cope. How did you feel when they said it's in remission, that must have been a day.
Yeah, well, there was never, I didn't get like the bell on the ward or anything like that.
Oh,
just
right.
that I just got the second or third scan and Mike said, oh, I got a letter saying, oh, it's not spread or it's not grown anymore.
Right.
Since the last scan. And that was it, really.
So that must have been, that's how you know things are getting better. When they send you a letter,
Yeah.
rather than ringing you up, you know, it's the...
yeah. When it's 3 months after the scan, that's what I say. If I haven't heard anything in 3 months, it's all right.
Yeah. A second-class letter.
But now, I mean, Nick, I've known him. He's a lovely fella. I've known him, 10, nearly 15 years,
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever it is, 10 years. 2015, 16 years. So now I just email him. If anything's up, I just say, look, can I come and see you because I don't feel right or whatever.
Do you have that do you have, like, now, do you worry that any sort of a weird pain?
Yeah, I'm not generally a hypochondriac.
No.
I do know someone who is.
We talk about John again.
No, he's all right. He's all right. He just has... He's such an anxious fella, bless him. But no, he has... I'm not really that genuinely sort of hypochondriac. Although I did develop a lump in my breast, believe it or not.
Right.
And I had to have a mammogram. And that's when I didn't have the moves that I have now. So, you know, things like that, when I know why is there a lump in my breast, you know what I mean? And men do get breast cancer.
They do, yeah.
But, so I had to go through that whole process, you know, but it was done in a day. So I rang my doctor and he said, right, I'll ring the breast clinic at James Cook and go down this afternoon. So that was pre-COVID, and pre what the current government have done to the NHS as well. But I've noticed I don't see anyone now hardly medically wise. I just have to rely on the fact that everything's okay, and then if something went wrong, I can do something about it.
Yeah. What a relief. In a weird, after everything, and I can't imagine what that's. We're going from the diagnosis of you might have this long to live to
the cancer doesn't affect me now. It's like I say, it's just all of this byproducts of the treatment.
Yeah.
And someone might turn around and say, well, you should have just taken turmeric powder. And that cute, some things, why take all that poison on board? That's what is known to work to kill the tumours.
Yeah. How about with COVID and that? That must have panicked you a bit.
Yeah, I literally didn't go out for about 16 months, never left the house. Yeah, I just couldn't.
Which also brings its own problems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing was John was here. So he spent a lot of time with me and he did shopping. I mean, in the end, got delivered. They got themselves organised so I got some priority slots and stuff like that. So it wasn't too bad. And I'm not really one to be, I don't go out drinking. No. I don't really go I live in North Yorkshire. There's no massive theatre scene or anything like that. I'll go to concerts, like comedy gigs and stuff like that. Now and again, mainly when there's mates playing or people I truly admire.
Yeah.
I just happened to see you one night by accident. No, I do admire you, and I do consider you a mate.
Yeah, you are a mate.
But no, it was a cracking night, that wasn't it?
It was so brilliant because I know because Alex said that you were coming in, so I was excited to be meeting you. And then I thought John, when I saw John, I didn't realise who he was. I thought he was Les from the old...
Yeah.
I thought it was
you. Do you know what? I know, yeah. We had that. We went to see Bob and Vic do their little tour when they just did like a retrospective about the career, and it was a chat, really.
Yeah.
Which was nice. It was a nice show. And someone... And obviously I went, and I was dreading it because... it's all Vic and Bob fans, isn't it? I mean, they're lovely, but I was just, I had glasses on and a hat.
You're right.
And, I got asked a lot, which I'd always say yes, because I would be the same. I would think, miserable cunt. But John everyone was saying, oh, you're Les as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's going, no, I'm not Les.
I didn't
No,
want.
can we get a photo with Les?
Where's your stick, Les?
Yeah.
I didn't want to, because all night long I was like, I'm sure that's him. But I didn't want to say it, and I'm glad I didn't. It turned out it wasn't. But those nights when they were like, oh yeah, we're going to go and have a drink and we do this, and it just turns into just a really wonderful night where we all got on.
Night, yeah.
So funny, and then your mate with the egg.
Oh yeah, Sean.
Sean with the egg on a bit of string.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Shall I tell the story?
Yes.
My mate Sean, who I love to bits, bless him, and he's a massive comedy fan. He used to work in the West End at Liberties, but he lived somewhere quite south of the river somewhere, and it was quite a rough area. So, and he used to wear these really nice suits, Liberty, suits and what have you. So rather than sort of like sneak around, he decided to have a rubber fried egg on a lead, on a string, and carry that and drag that along with him. And he said these proper like street guys would say to him, what are you doing? He said, oh, this is Colin, my egg, I'm taking him out for a walk. And they'd be like, whoa. Off you go,
You keep going, mate.
Yeah. He's lovely, Sean. He's absolutely lovely.
What is
He's
it?
so generous.
Is he a comedian?
No, he isn't. No. He does a bit of DJing and stuff like that. But he's friends with a lot of comedians and that. He's such a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's a lovely man. He's going to come up. We're going to try and get him up. John's going away for a few days, so I'm going to get him up.
Oh, lovely.
Just to spend some time.
That'd be nice. I'm coming up. I'm going to be doing. What am I doing? I don't know if it's the Ark, but I'm going to be up.
Oh, yes.
I'm up doing that, and there's two of them. I know it's Middlesbrough way, so I'm going to be up soon. I'll give you a shout.
What date's that? Do you know?
I don't know. I'll drop you a message after this. I'll let you know. See if you're around.
All right, because I don't know whether I don't know whether I'm on holiday or not. Oh, it'd be lovely to see you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, you go, oh no, I'm not around. I haven't told you yet.
Yeah, that's why I wanted the date. You've ruined the joke.
Sorry, mate.
And the real. No, but yeah, it's always nice. Because I went to, it was Dan Skinner I went to see, wasn't it, originally?
Yeah. No, it was Alex.
Alex, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Alex,
Clinton Baptiste.
Yeah, that was a good setup, that was a great little interaction.
He's so lovely.
With you. Alex is a lovely fella, isn't he?
And I learned so much from doing that tour with him. And then when he says, yeah, go and have a chat with the audience. And then when he walks out as Clinton and he's just, it's so funny. Yeah. And he's such a sweetheart as well. He's so lovely to be around.
He's an absolutely lovely fella, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a sweetheart.
I mean, I'd never met him before till that night. We followed each other on Twitter and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
I've always been a fan. Yeah. Been a massive fan of Barry and Clinton, obviously. But we just followed each other on Twitter, and we said what I said. We did one of his live shows, his TV shows that he did. Me and John played a punter who's ringing up, and he said, "Oh, that I've just moved into my mum's house." Have you seen the video?
No.
Oh, I'll have to send you. Yeah. So he shows him around, and Clinton's going, "Yeah, I can't see. There's nothing showing through," and all that. And then he said, "Oh, I'll go up in the bedrooms." So he went up the bedroom, and he said, "Right, well, we'll come back to you." And then they came back to me, and then I played his dead mum with a red light on my lap in bed next to him. And I said, time, I think, what? Time for wanks or something. And Alex Alex he fucking nearly died. He was like, oh, Craig, time for mummy's lickies or something like that. Time for... Yeah.
Oh God! Well, that's where it was Ian Lee's phone-ins that I used to drive back from gigs, and I'd be excited that it was on. So you had Barry would ring in, Andre was another one, and there was a few others. And I remember one. I think I said it every time I speak to anyone about it. There was one where Ian let Andre and Barry from Watford just keep going. And Barry's going, I just say my nanites, and Andre's on and on and on. And it was honestly, I nearly crashed the car.
It was, it's sort of, there's almost Andy Kaufman levels of like surreal, sort of like beyond comedy to what Ian does sometimes.
I still say that. I still, when I was just saying my nanites, I still say it.
Yeah. Say my
nanites.
It's what I can't understand. I said to him, how do you keep it up?
Yeah.
Do you know, because that, like, with the teeth and all that, it's sort of like, I said, I don't know how you can keep it up.
No.
So, like, but he said, I get it's comfortable.
Just really. Into it, and that's it. Yeah. I think he's good.
I mean, the same with Steve Delaney and Count Arthur Strong for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
He never stops.
No. Do you know what? So we went to the Jeremy Hardy night thingy, and then I came out and Pete Bakey from Absolutely was outside, and I just was so excited to see him because I've never seen. I am a massive Absolutely fan. Yeah. And I went. Oh, I said, look, I know this is weird, but fucking Pete Bakey, mate. I think you're amazing. Love it. And he's like, oh, thanks, mate. It wasn't until I ran off, and I was like, he was stood with Steve, Count Arthur Strong. I didn't realise. Because he wasn't in his gums.
No. I mean, he's a tiny little skinny fit bloke, and he's Steve Delaney. He's like skinny and lithe. He obviously keeps himself well fit because he's getting on in a few years. But when he's Count Arthur, you wouldn't recognise.
No, not at all. And I didn't.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Rude.
And it just Count Arthur just seems to like explode.
Yeah.
I love Steve's Count Arthur. I think if you haven't seen it live on stage, you should really go because it's just colossal.
Yeah. What I love is when you start talking about the character like they're a real person. There's people I know that, and you're sitting talking about material and jokes and stuff, and then you go, no, they wouldn't say that. That's not how they think. That they'd probably do it this way. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, I did that awful thing of talking to John about jamming the third person. You know, you just think... Because I mean, a lot of the time, I get ready, put the makeup on, the wig, and it's a nurse's, like, carer's uniform I've got on, and about 6 watches. and I just can't remember what I've said.
No.
I mean, I'll sit back and watch a show that we've done and laugh at it because I thought, oh, that's funny. Because I've just gone totally into the character. You know, it's not like I don't think, right, what I'm sat there with a wig and hair and I think, right, what would Jam say now? I just enveloped. I mean, it sounds so wanky and unbelievable, but it's true. Yeah,
when you get into that, though, I mean, I've done it at gigs where I forget what I've said or I'll say something. I'm like, I didn't even know I was going to say that. It's just, it just blurts out because you're in this.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I find when that happens to me, I find I've had like 1 or 2 drinks, and it's within a group of people I trust. Yeah, and I really, really then start, and it's always about taking the piss out of something or someone. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But you get on a roll, don't you? It's great. I love it. It's a great sort of feeling. Yeah, you're just brilliant at it, though. You're just such a quick, clever, witty sort of just unbelievable.
It's just fear. I'm scared of the silence.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. It probably doesn't happen very often to you nowadays. But I was just agog at your level of talent.
Thanks, mate.
I'm saying that. you know.
Oh, thank you.
And
I'll give you.
oh, sorry. And your 9-inch penis.
Yeah, there we are.
9-inch penis.
Mate, this has been lovely. Thank you so much for coming
Sorry,
on.
I haven't talked much about anything.
What are you talking about? This is perfect, because what people will get something from what you've said. Someone somewhere will take some comfort from what you've said, mate. So.
Oh, well, I hope so.
Yeah, definitely.
Cancer isn't a death sentence, unfortunately, it is sometimes, but and you can come out the other side with a different career, or try to do a different career.
Yeah, it's all about your outlook, isn't it? And you did well. Thanks, mate. Where can we find you online?
I'm on Twitter as @Vaun Earl. I think that's it, really. I don't bother with much else. No. I don't do Facebook. I've got about 6 Instagram things. I can't remember what they're called. My show reel's on YouTube. That's always worth a look.
Lovely. We'll put a link to it. We'll put a link to it to the.
I also make balloon creatures, and I will strip for a fee.
Yeah, I didn't think. Do you know what? I was wondering how I was going to bring it up. Like, am I gonna make him nude? Or
the balloon animals and the striptease.
There you go.
It's just a whole thing I do
with the balloon animals.
It's one for the kids and one for the women. Yeah.
Listen, Vaughn, thanks, mate.
All right, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been lovely talking to you. Always a pleasure.